that went to try to repair the main shade node. The federal shelter should be beneath your current position. Find a way down there, but proceed with caution.
On Dragov's outer perimeter. Remember, you're only here for Dragov, but if you find his supply depot, raid it. Denying Dragov that stockpile will also deny Keener crucial support.
Be careful. I still don't like the idea of throwing into the wolves, no matter how much we want Dragov to blow this single attack.
Gunfire. Report.
Loading area by Broad Street is under attack. It's the division.
Self-gate. Do not let them raid the stockpile. Okay, I'm a patient guy, but answer me this. Are you guys...
Hello agents, and welcome back to another Division build video. From what you've just seen, this is a CC build that's adapted to fire. It's really powerful. Those were solo heroics that I was running. I'm really surprised how powerful it turned out, when really this is meant to be a support build. It's not really meant to do damage. It's crazy how good fire is now in TU 9.1. So I adapted it from my CC build and changed effectively a couple of pieces around, added some damage in and took out the Imperial holster, and this is what you got. I ran the firewall specialization, and the reason we did that was for the extra burn duration. So if you just check up here, we get 20% extra burn duration. So you could go tactician instead for extra damage, but I kept this really as a support build. I'm not going to be running solo with it too much, apart from if I want to have a bit of fun. But really I want to be able to run CC in legendary missions with this build and actually do some damage at the same time to make the whole thing a little bit faster. Spec into whatever damage you're going to be using. I use in this one assault rifle and a rifle, so that's why you can see I'm spec'd into both of them as well. There is this as well, allies deal 10% damage to enemies that are within 10 meters of you, so think about that as well. If an enemy's on fire, he can't hurt you, so especially if it's a chunga or something like that. So if you want your enemies to be not your enemies. If you want your friendlies to be dealing extra damage to your enemies, get a bit closer to them so they get that extra 10% multiplicative damage at the same time. We're going to look at the build. There's a couple of things you can run here. I would definitely say the everlasting gaze is an absolutely certain for this build. You could run the surge as well, which I believe is perfect spike. Headshots grant 25% skill damage for 8 seconds, but I don't find that I have much time outside of using this gun. Because my cooldowns are so low, I don't find that I ever have that much time to switch to that gun. I find that my skills actually do enough damage anyway, and it's nice to buff the status effects by 50% over the 25% skill damage from the surge, but that's up to you. You have that as an option. I've gone with the Pyromaniac for an AR just so that I can spray and get the tag team buff down easily if I need to. If enemies are bobbing and weaving, I find it's just easier to spray with an assault rifle rather than a rifle, but we'll get to tag team in a little bit. To looking at my Pyromaniac then, damage to target out to cover is what you want in your third slot, core attributes as high as possible, and obviously it comes with perfectly ignited. Deal 25% weapon damage to burning enemies. After 3 kills, applies burning to the next enemy. So again, we're just putting more things on fire, essentially making life a little bit easier for ourselves at all times. Going back to the everlasting glaze, get as much damage as you can up here in the core attributes. I've been really lucky with this one, max on both of them. And then the third attribute, again, damage to target out to cover is always going to be king on a rifle. But it comes with perfect perpetuation. Headshots grant 50% status effect damage and duration to the next status effect that you apply, and the cooldown 16 seconds. And obviously 50% extra on what we're going to be running already is huge, absolutely huge. So definitely go with that. Mods wise, I've just spec'd into extended mags and extra critical hit chance because we're not spec'd into any reds anywhere. So spec into whatever you like, whatever you feel is more appropriate for your gameplay style. Pistol can be whatever you want. I just run my Liberty because of the high weapon damage that it comes with, so therefore it can come in useful every now and again, but in fairness I'm probably never going to use it. Gear wise, you can go with 2 of these brand sets in any places that you want. Just be careful to avoid things like this. So see where I'm all yellows with a yellow mod slot. If I went with Hannah U, even though this bag is quite good for this build, and actually probably would be better, the mod slot lets it down because it's a red. So just be careful if you are switching brand sets around into different places, that you don't end up with a red that you don't want in a place you don't need to have it. So we'll go with China Lighters first. So we're going to run 2 pieces I've just said as the brand set bonus, which gives us 15% explosive damage. Makes no difference to this build, but it actually gives us 10% skill haste. All of the core attributes for all of the gear pieces are going to be skill tier, so I won't go over that again. But the attributes are 11.2 skill haste with 10% status effects, with a mod for 10.9% skill haste. Obviously, get them as high as you can. 2nd% China Light is going to be skill haste and status effects, which completes our 2-piece bonus. We'll look at the Hannah U's next. So the Hannah U brand set bonus, 10% skill haste and 10% skill damage, 7.1% skill damage, and then 10% status effects. I would ideally like this skill damage to be quite a bit higher, but as you can see, I crafted this because I've not been lucky enough to get one dropped yet, so this is going to be the piece that I'm going to be working on the most. Knees, skill haste and skill damage, which is nice. So this is where I make up all of my skill damage. I don't really feel like I need to spec into any more skill damage in this build. I feel like it does loads already because of the amount, but that's up to you guys. See how you feel when you're using the skills and see what you think. Because everywhere else I'm spec'd into status effects and skill haste. One thing I would mention though at this point is the Imperial Dynasty holster. This actually has no benefit whatsoever to this build. It actually makes this build worse if you would put this in. So even though it's a skill tier and it has status effects and you would think actually this is going to help, when this actually kicks in, when the Dragon's Glow talent kicks in, if fire is spread to another enemy via this method, it would actually half the duration. And I don't know if that's intended and I don't know if it's actually working wrong. But this build's all about them being on fire for as long as possible and doing as much damage as possible. So with this halving the duration, it would not work in this build whatsoever. So definitely not one to use in this build. Then we're going to look at the two main pieces. We'll go with the chest piece first of all. So this is Wyvern. 2 pieces gives us 10% skill damage and 10% status effects. Perfect for each of our talents. We've got 9.9% status effects, 11.9% skill haste, and 11.3% skill haste in the mod. We're running tag team. The last enemy that you have damaged with a skill is marked. Dealing weapon damage to that enemy consumes the mark to reduce active cooldowns by 6 seconds. That is absolutely huge because we're running an all skill build. Cooldowns are already really low. We're spec'd into skill haste as well. It's absolutely huge, and it only has a cooldown of 4 seconds. So you could see from the footage before, I'm consistently using my skills all the time. I get very little time to use my guns, so having tag team is absolutely huge. And the fact I can do it every 4 seconds, it makes all of the difference. It effectively makes all of your skills completely unlimited all of the time. You should never really have a cooldown. So combining with that, we're going to go with Creeping Death. When you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemies within 8 meters of your target. Really, really nice. And the cooldown, 15 seconds. The great thing about Creeping Death is it will reapply to enemies that it's already applied to. And because our burn duration is so long, it will apply to them at least 3 or 4 times if they've not died already, if they're within 8 meters of each other. But you'll see more about that when I get to the skills and how long the burn duration is and cooldowns are and things like that. But on here we've got status effects, skill haste and skill haste, if I did already mention that. And that's the build. So what you really want to be looking for is setting them on fire with one of your skills. Procking tag team. Flicking to the everlasting glaze. Hitting a headshot, which also procs tag team as well because the enemy's taking weapon damage. And then your next status effect is going to be huge. It's going to be 50% status effect damage and extra duration at the same time. And you just essentially repeat that combination over and over again. If you find you've got a bit of extra spare time, use the Pyromaniac, or if you're struggling to hit one of the tag teamed enemies, use your Pyromaniac and flick to that as well. But if you use that combo, you'll never be without skills. Everything will always be on fire, and it'll be really easy for you solo in heroic, and also really, really easy for you in heroics or legendaries with your teammates. We'll take a look at the skills. So first of all, we've gone with the Fire Sticky Bomb. The cooldown is 13.9 seconds, so with tag team, take a further 6 seconds off that. Damage is almost 4 million. The duration they're going to burn for is pretty much 40 seconds. So you can see before, when I was talking about Creeping Death, the cooldown is only 15 seconds. So if something's burning for that amount of time, for 40 seconds, there's lots and lots of time for Creeping Death to reproc. And we're at skill tier 6 obviously, which gives us 60% extra burn damage, 120% extra duration and 90% extra skill haste. Really, really nice. Modded wise, we've got some extra damage in there, 7.1%, and we've got some extra skill haste in there as well at 4.8%. Then we're going to go with the chem launcher, and obviously we're going to go with the fire starter. One thing to remember with the fire starter, the best way to deploy it is if you shoot it, you don't have to shoot the gas to set it on fire, just double tap and it sets everything on fire for you. So shoot it, double tap your skill button and it sets it on fire. We've got 7 in the ammo. We've got a cooldown of 12.7 seconds, which is huge again with tag team, 6.7 seconds cooldown, and we've also got 7 in, so we're never running out of them. The damage is 548k and the burn damage is 275k and the duration is 12 seconds. We've got 5 extra ammo from tier 6, 30% extra duration, radius, 60% extra burn duration and 60% extra burn damage. And essentially because we've got 7 of them that are never going to run out, it's just unlimited ammo in the skill. Mods wise, I've gone for some extra burn strength, which is really nice, and some extra skill haste as well to help with that. By all means guys, you could actually spec into more skill damage if you wanted to make your bomb a bit better, but that's totally up to you. Have a play with it and let me know what you think in the comments down below. We'll have a flick look at the stats page. So our weapon damage is pretty poor because obviously we're not spec'd into anything, but it doesn't do too bad. You'll see when I used the pyro in the video, the clips previous, that actually was pretty good. It actually did some decent damage. Got creeping death, tag team. There are brand set bonuses. And if we go down, you can see what the sticky bomb is. It's got 121% skill haste. Cooldown's only 13.9 seconds. 3.9 million damage. Duration is 40 seconds nearly. Just what we were going over before. Really, really good. Really, really nice. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you've done with fire recently, seeing as it's had a buff in PvE for TU 9.1. It's certainly very, very interesting at the moment. Come and see me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJTICKLE. I stream there most nights. Do check out all my links in the description. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, and do please hit the bell for notifications for future videos that I do upload. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye bye.